Hi. Oh, yeah. Well, we were talking already a little bit. I wanted to read a letter from Eleanor Reissa.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. You know,
Just
maybe
put her
I
on the
should
spot real
flee.
quick.
Should I flee?
No. You stay right there. Advocating for her book baby.
Oh.
And I really honor this. Hey, you, ginormous congratulations on your podcast. It's really terrific, moving, important, humane, human, so good. Also, your beautiful love songs for the folks being a really great Daniela. Yasher Koach. I have a question. I wonder if you might have, if we might have a talk together on your podcast. Just wondering, no pressure, I swear. There could be a lot to say, even though I do not have a child. It was a topic and option at one time, of course. It was something I wanted at once for a minute, but mostly as a way to create longevity for my parents so that they would live on. For good and for bad, that didn't happen, but my creative work replaced that. All of my work as a storyteller has schlepped them along with me, and especially now with my book, The Letters Project. They are full front and center. Forgive the ask. It might not be for you or for the show. I would completely understand, truly no harm and no thank you. If, however, you are interested, I can get you a copy, blah, blah, blah. Was die willst, ob die willst. You look and sound beautiful. Did I notice did I mention she said I look and sound beautiful and, oh, she said beautiful earlier on. Yep, just wanted to say.
But you know that
So
I
happy
say
and
the
proud
truth.
of you. I
You
do know because she has, this is maybe the first time she's ever complimented me in my life. Actually,
maybe the second.
Maybe the second. We did a show recently and she did, and I appreciate
My
that
own
very
issues.
much. It's all good. I really, I thanked her the second she walked in, Laura. And Laura and I had a moment back there where I told Laura with my hand on my heart, God, I love art so much. I love how you love your art. Like, it is so necessary and important and deep and meaningful. And just as you say, like, you picked up whatever I was putting down, and I'm so grateful for it. That, of course, being a mother on Mom Curious, sure, it's important to bring life into the world, but more importantly, to live life in the world, you know? And I so appreciated that you raised your hand and said, hey, I want to throw my hat in the ring in this conversation. I've lived a good, full life without children. Fuck the patriarchy. Fuck anyone who might say that there's only one way to bring life into the world, through a child. I feel like this book, The Letters Project, is so full of life, so full of meaning, and I'm just incredibly grateful that you wanted to sit down and have this conversation, because I do think that there are people in the audience, Laura included.
I've never been a mom, so
Although you do refer to your book as your baby.
I do refer to my book as my baby. I'm going to hold up my baby because, I gave birth to my baby, and you don't know what you're going to make.
Mm-hmm.
You start trying to create something, and what will it be? Will it look like me? Will it be healthy? Will it be smart? Will it go to a good college? Will it be true to itself? Will people criticize it? Will people not like my baby?
Yeah.
Yeah. And people will like the baby. But what is a baby? Baby is something you make.
It's something you make, something you nurture. I also think it can be, and not always, an extension of self. I mean, what you write just in your letter to me, The Letters Project, is that it's an extension of your lineage. And look at this, right? There are many ways
Yeah.
to extend that lineage.
Indeed, that was what I never really wanted a baby so that I could be a mother. That was not, even there was a time when I tried really hard to have a baby when it was too late, of course. But it was never because I thought, oh God, I want to be a mother. I just want a mother. No. I wanted a baby so that I could have my mother, so that my mother and my grandmother and my father and all of those wonderful people, all of those cells that used to be present, I want to make them present. But that was all. That was why I wanted to have a baby.
It dawned on me when I was reading the book that Mom Curious, and that's the name I gave this show, right? Is also an experience that I have around my own curiosity about my mother. And I saw that in you, your own curiosity about your mother, where you come from. And I saw on Laura's Instagram a picture of your mom. I find that so palpable, this like experience of like, if I could understand her, I could understand me a little bit better.
Well, that's true, but it's interesting because I look at your Instagram and pictures of you and your children, and I find the faces, and you see the mother's face and you see the child's face, and I looked at yours to think, oh, look how he looks like her. Look how his eyes, or this. And look how I used to look like my father, and now I look like my mother. And some people say, oh, you look just like your mother. I think, really? But I search the faces of people for their past or their future, as it turns out.
In Yiddish, they say in a gitter sho, when a person is pregnant, b'sha tova in Hebrew, it means in the right time. And I know that you were telling me before we got started just that the book itself took you about a year to write, although, 60 odd years in the making, right?
Odd. I think the word in that is odd.
Well, or even 64, right?
I just meant odd, peculiar.
Oh, peculiar. Also very strange. And then it took you about a year or so to get it published. But in this time when Holocaust education is being sort of rolled back, and there's real concern in the world around social justice, which you touch on in the book, as a daughter of Holocaust fighters, formerly known as survivors. I think it's a really important time for this book to be out, especially because you tell the story of the Holocaust through a personal lens. And I think that storytelling is really meaningful and important.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to, I think most education is being turned back.
Oh, you do?
Not just Holocaust. I think the way they're trying, whoever they are, people who are not interested in education or in learning are trying to cut back on Holocaust learning, also on anything that deepens people or that, learning about women, learning about LGBTQ, learning about Jews, learning about blacks, just books being banned again.
Yeah.
Not yes, Mouse, but plenty of others too. I hope my book gets banned. I think that's
That was badass.
it's so good for business, but
no bad press.
No, but there is. But let's leave that. Yeah. And I don't mean that it's just a bad joke, actually.
It's a good joke. It's a
bad
good joke. You're allowed to make
yeah.
jokes. You do go through your father's journey by way of the letters that he writes to your mother. Can you tell us about the book?
The book, Was an accident. I mean, the book was an accident.
An oopsies baby.
Pardon me?
An oopsies baby.
It was. I think I was an oopsies baby as well.
Well, we found out, I found out in the reading of this that you were maybe a reincarnation of someone very special.
Well, I mean, that's, maybe we all are. That's a whole other show. But this book, I never wrote a book. I write plays sometimes, and I thought this would be a three-hander. I thought it would be a him, a her, and a me. And I thought these letters would be all that it was about. But then one of the translators for the letters offered me a kind of trip to Germany to explore the places in the letters. And I thought, what, really? Why would I go to Germany? What's in Germany? Everybody's dead. There's no point going to Germany. But that's because I'm not a scholar.
Or you weren't.
I certainly wasn't. I am maybe a bit more now, but I'm an instinctual artist by nature. And anyway, I mean, the book, these letters, there were 56 letters. I had them translated, but the letters were the key that unlocked a past that I didn't know I would have access to, and a past that is very present. So, I have all these photos, and some of the photos are in a town called Ulm, which is where my mother was in a displaced persons camp, and we went there, and there we are, and I take out a photo, and it's exactly the place that my mother and grandfather and uncle and brother, and then I look there, and there's buildings. Wait,
Right, they're still there.
there's
The buildings are still there.
the buildings are still there.
I mean, not
the
in
people,
Ukraine now, but
and the people, in a way, were still there.
I loved the writing of that chapter, actually. The sort of experience you had while you were in the displaced persons camp, which was basically like
fortress.
A fortress. I mean, I didn't know what a displaced persons camp.
I thought it was
either.
like
a camp,
like a log cabins, and
No, it was a fortress, as you said. I loved that they were that they had repurposed it to be a theater. To house a theater company. How bizarre and sort of on the nose was that, because you are a theater artist.
Everything was like that. I was just in Germany for 5 days on this little adventure, and it's like the world opened up. A plot of history opened up. So extremely unexpected, completely bashert, so it seemed, that little bits of manna from heaven were just, it was very Dayenu. I would have been happy if we just had gone to the fortress. I would have been happy just to see those buildings but it was more and more things, and they each led to a bunch of realizations that I never expected, or
what?
Well, I mean, oddly, so I met this woman who turned out to be the daughter of my father's best friend, who she was born 5 days before me.
Yeah.
And I showed her the letters, and she knew the people in the letters. Because her father stayed in Stuttgart. Those people stayed in Stuttgart. She was born in Stuttgart. My father was a refugee, chose to leave Stuttgart to follow his girlfriend to Brooklyn, thinking...
His girlfriend, your mom.
My mom. Thinking, I'll try that. I love her, I'll try. And so he leaves home to pursue that. And he winds up here alone. The marriage doesn't work. He winds up alone. He winds up as a factory working, illiterate loser.
In your eyes.
In my eyes.
Yeah.
What did I know? There, he was a member of the Jewish community. There, he had friends. There, they went to dinner. They had... Here, he didn't do anything. He went to the synagogue. He went to work. And I saw him on Sundays. And that, in Yiddish, we say, auf meine Sonnem gesucht.
Right.
Such a life you wish on your enemies.
Right. Well, that's the life of someone who is deeply traumatized, and for good reason.
Absolutely. But the interesting part, though, mini realization-ish, is if my father had stayed in Germany, he might have had a good life or a better life.
Well, he could at least speak the language.
He could speak the language. He was a respected part of the community.
Yeah. And his prized possession really was you.
Yes, ultimately it was me.
I mean, and here you are. You know, it really is quite a privilege and luxury, I find, to be an artist. You know, to be a Tony-nominated artist, to be able to write your own memoir. I mean, that is something I can only imagine he could only dream of, right? Like that.
Listen,
that
you're a storyteller, Daniela.
I am.
And that's what when you sing, when you yak on into the mic, when you make a short movie called Oma, whenever you do, you're a storyteller.
When I make babies, I'm telling
You're telling
the
a
human
different
story.
Yeah.
The whole thing. It's a story.
Yep. So that's what it means to be an artist, I think, to find ways to tell the story.
What was interesting to me is that, and I know you know this show, Ghetto Tango, there's so much art that was even created in the Holocaust. Isn't that incredible?
No. Look at the poems now coming out of Ukraine. I mean, what would we do if we were somewhere? We would take a scrap of the work that comes out of prisons, the work people have to express themselves. So I think always it seems to have been thus. They drew on caves. I mean, we come from people need to say, this is what I did today. This is who I met. I ate a bear. And, I
was here.
I
was
here.
Yeah, that came to me a lot when I was reading the book. It was like, not just I am here. Well, Eleanor Reissa is here, but they were here.
They were here.
You know, they don't have these dead people. They don't have plots. They didn't have a proper burial. They were here, and really I can feel them in my bones. And I really read that in your writing, that
Thank you.
They were here and that they're here in us. That's something really crazy, that like we exist because these people existed.
Correct. Without these people, we wouldn't exist.
Yeah, I want to read something that you wrote. So these letters are a message to me from beyond, from my father who wrote them, and from my mother who kept them, and now for me who will follow them. I tell stories for a living as an actress, writer, singer, director. That's what I have spent my life doing, albeit in my own helter-skelter fashion. My work is an enormous part of who I am, and I am my parents' daughter. So if I don't find out who they were, how the hell will I know who I am? I'm going to pull on this thread for as long as it's got give and see where it takes me, my own DNA strand. My work is an enormous part of who I am.
I mean, for the longest time, who knew? Who knew? I mean, and when I think about you, I think, who knows what Daniela Rabbani will make, will be, will become. You don't know. and I didn't know. I mean, it started with a play that was about the Spanish-American War, the Spanish Civil War, that was depressing as all hell. And I thought, I want to do that. I want to move people like that. And that was a long time ago, and
You're still doing it.
and I'm still doing it. And yeah, I didn't think, each job was like, will I ever work again? Will I ever do this again? Is this any good? Is that any good? Am I any good? An enormous waste of time.
Tell me more.
Tell me more. And
more.
I'm telling you, enormous waste of time.
Because it doesn't matter, or
It matters, but you're good. Curtain. And come up with another challenge, another thing to wonder about. You're good.
Well, you said Laura really likes that. You're good. You said something to me on the first day that you ever complimented me after 10 years of knowing
I
each other.
resent that, but maybe it's partially true.
It's fine.
So never
It's
mind.
fine. It's fine. You said something to me in this last production that we did together. It was a concert. You said it to me and our, collaborator, performer, Maya. You said, I spend so much time just thinking about my looks.
Ugh. I mean, like what a waste. I look at pictures and I think, holy crap, you were nice looking.
Yeah.
What was wrong with you?
I don't know.
And still to this day I think, oh, look, and it's the same issue. It's the same. So if you can stop, if there's any way, I don't know if you can. And I don't mean you specifically, but in general, it's just really hard and
a waste of time. And if we've learned anything from...
Which we kind of haven't much, I'm afraid.
No, we have.
We? Oh, good.
We have.
Great.
I have.
Excellent.
You wrote this book. You have. You went on this fucking journey. I clocked it. You have learned.
I have learned.
You were nice to me. You did compliment me in the end.
Yes.
You did. I mean, come on. We people are changeable.
Yes, they are.
People are movable,
Yes.
I read it in your writing, this idea that like for the longest time you were defined by being the daughter of Holocaust survivors. After all this time, what a misunderstanding. These people didn't just survive. They weren't these victims. Actually, in Europe, they call them Holocaust victims. Really what they are Holocaust fighters. I mean, your father, who you unintentionally and unfortunately thought was a loser all your life, was this incredible man, the only man who survived his entire transport.
So I mean, and it's like, really?
That guy?
Him?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
no.
guy.
And that's why I thought they are fighters. They're not. I reject that. I reject the word survivor, and I think it was such a minimizing term to them.
Yes, and I also think it...
I mean, it could be more than that, and I'm not going to get into that.
Well, they were survivors. That was true. I mean, but language counts.
Language counts.
And I think it probably was a easier way to integrate into society.
I think it was a minimizing way. I think it was
minimizing.
It was intentionally minimizing.
Yeah,
That's what I think.
I agree.
Yeah. There was nothing accidental about it.
Yeah.
They could have been called something else. You could have looked at them and said, holy mackerel.
You miracles.
Congratulations to you. A miracle, that's right. Your Holocaust miracles, they could have been called. I mean, they just, I don't approve.
I don't approve, and I reject it.
And I reject it.
Ditto. So from now on.
But I'm not, but, if you want to call, whoever you are, and you want to say Holocaust survivor, or you are one, and that's how, or your parents were one, or your grandparents, and that's how you wish to refer to them, Hare Krishna, be my guest. But for me, it was a minimizing term. It minimized me.
It minimized you. Right. That we were talking about your journey.
It minimized
that was the journey
me.
for you.
Because what is a survivor? a child of a survivor, I say this in the book, what is a child of a survivor entitled to? Nothing. Why should you have anything? Your parents had nothing. The minimum would do, but the child of a survivor,
But a child
bring
of
it
a
on.
fighter,
Of a fighter, that's what I meant. The
You-
child of a Holocaust fighter.
you deserve everything.
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 So,
I mean, and by everything, I don't mean any more than anyone else.
correct.
I mean, human beings deserve everything, and I think trauma, from my own personal experience and from what I've learned, is that it dulls the senses. That we can't really appreciate, and we see this in the retelling of your father's story, that his traumatic experience really could dull the vibrant life he had in him once before. We can't.
It's like a
you can't
dog. I
taste-
mean, you see these dogs who are beaten, and they just
cower.
they cower. And genetically, I cower too.
But not anymore. You talk about how your partner at the time of the writing of your book was doing journeys, shamanistic journeys, and that you had done it some as well. Is that right?
Well, yes. I mean,
Drugs.
I'm of an age. Yeah, drugs. I'm of an age where drugs were part of living. I
As
mean,
they should be.
Well, I don't know if they should be, but they were. And this fellow who I was with, it was my birthday coming up. This was a few years before the book, and he said, "What would you like for your birthday?" I said, "I'd like to get on another plane. I really need to elevate. I need to elevate." And he had known this kind of psychologist or something who had MDMA.
Yeah.
And we went to Martha's Vineyard. And I mean, the great thing about it is you can remember.
Yeah.
It was really terrific.
We were just talking about epigenetics, inherited trauma, how it lives in the body. How before we started talking about this, I was really viscerally shaking. Really, because for me, the Holocaust, I've spent so much of my career, as you know, I mean, really communing with 6 million souls singing in Yiddish, a language I really did not know before I was 23 or 24, and it really poured out of me. Because this family history, this world trauma is very personal and very real. And so what I was just mentioning about the MDMA is that in these ceremonies, I'm just sitting with all the Jews, all of them. They are just waiting. And I at first wasn't sure, like, I would just, weep. And I wasn't sure really what they wanted from me. Did they want me to, like, don't forget us. We existed. But really, they want my joy. Because here I am. I mean, really, here I am. Just as you said, that I want to elevate my consciousness. I want to taste what life has to offer, and see and hear and smell and feel this plane as it was meant to be. And I genuinely believe that the inherited trauma of being a daughter and granddaughter of Holocaust fighters can really, that inherited fear can really dull.
I mean, during the last thuggish administration, I was hard. I mean, I have a neighbor, a non-Jewish woman, and I just said, "Listen, can I hide here? What if I need to hide? Can I hide here?" And that's, I mean, Muslims. You come after the Muslims, you come after the Mexicans. Where am I in that? I mean,
it's only a matter of time.
So
God
it was
forbid.
totally triggering for me.
For me too. I practice breath work with a mentor. Her name is Laura too. She's not Jewish, and actually, it's the most healing experience when I weep about anti-Semitism. When I express it, and when my body sort of releases these genuine and fears for good reason, and she just holds it and says, "I see it. I know. I see it." Because to be seen and heard in that way is really, really magnificent, because it's true. And it's okay. It's okay that it's true. We're all okay. We're here. We made it. But it is a fact that it exists. And,
what
and
specifically?
Anti-Semitism. And
yes.
that the fear that you experienced that was triggered by all the hate around you in the Trump administration.
I mean,
watching that, you talk about babies in cages. You're like, oh.
Well, I just thought to myself, it would be unforgivable if my parents lived through that,
right,
and I did not smell the smoke.
Right.
If that's a spit on them. If I am not recognizing what's happening, that they lived through it, did I not learn anything from them? And if I didn't, well, fuck me. But I did, and we must. I mean, and we must
fight for.
We must see when Putin says, I want to negotiate, and then bombs Kiev. We must see that his actions are criminal, and what shall we do? What will it be said that we did when when all the rubble is laying all over Ukraine? What did I do? What did I do? Not much. Send checks. But I'll talk about it, and I'll say what I think, which is, you have to defend people who can't defend themselves against bullies. And one of the other takeaways in this was, no matter what your feeling happens to be, for example, about Israel, if Israel existed in 1939, 6 million people would not have died, been murdered. I don't know how many would have, but not that many. It wouldn't have been a one-sided slaughter.
Right.
And that's, you can hate them, you can love them, whatever you want to think about them, that's a truth. Whether so if you're sorry that 6 million people were killed, just perhaps keep that in mind.
Well, the question was about inherited trauma, and I sort of took it to a thought of, well, it does, you can feel the ache, not to the same degree, certainly not, but there are signs of PTSD in survivors or kids and grandkids. Of course, we'll call them fighters from now on, though. But there is also a resilience that I think is also inherited, that they say actually is inherited. This idea of persevering, and also, and from what I hear from you, is that you can smell the smoke.
It's there.
It's there.
It's there. You can hear those boots marching. You
That's
can
right.
hear them marching. Do you want to go like this, la la la?
Right. But the hypervigilance is there, and honestly, it's when put to good use.
Yeah, and my father says in his testimony, because I uncover testimony of his in here, and he says that he was taken out of different transports and kept in Stuttgart when other people were sent to Auschwitz, including his wife and his daughter, and he managed to be pulled from a transport. And why? Because he was a good worker. Mm-hmm. I'm a really good worker.
Yeah.
I didn't know that he would, I didn't know that. But I'm a really good, can you do this? And I can't. Yes, I can do that.
Yeah.
Can you do this? No, I can't. Yes, I can. Yes, I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. Why am I an actress, a singer, a choreographer, a writer? Because acting is really not enough. I'm not really good. It's not enough work. I'll do this too. I'll do this too.
I'll write a
do
book.
This too. Well, the book is different.
Tell me, why is the book different? Because that was a baby? That was a birth? That was a life that needed to come out of you?
The book was a necessity. The book was writing it, getting it published, and now getting people to read it. I've never worked harder to do those things. Everything else, when I was writing, I wrote every day. I wrote every day when I was dealing with finding an agent, finding a publisher, everything. And usually I shoot wide, scatter shot, buckshot, whatever that's called. But this was really all, and still is, laser focused. I'll talk here, I'll talk there, I'll talk to him, to her, to them, the they, whatever. But this is different. This is not, acting, singing, directing. That was like, I was a switchboard operator. I answered an ad. Have you ever done this? I lied. I said yes. And that was, the olden days when you put plugs into those, And how many people did I disconnect? Many.
All right.
But I kept the job and then waited tables. Have you ever waited tables? Yes. No. Yes. Can you? Yes. No. Can you act? Can you sing? I can direct that.
Right.
I can direct that.
And you got your...
And you do it.
And then you get like Tony nominated and then another job and then you get to Broadway and then you get to Broadway again. Yeah.
But...
Yeah, that was a Yerusha, an inheritance from your father.
It was an inheritance from my father.
A survival
that I
instinct.
didn't know.
Yeah. I knew.
Yeah.
The rest of us knew.
Look, I'm oldish, and I feel like it's a little laziness, and it's a little entitledness in a not good way, to not recognize that you're not the first person here, and you're on a long line. There are a lot of shoulders that you are standing on, and if you don't know it, why do you need to know? Because there are traps in everything that people who came before you fought through, and you're not entitled. People earned this. It's a little lazy. It strikes me. You'll send the emails addresses to somebody else, but it's a little lazy. Come on, how many?
I think it's dangerous.
And it's
beyond lazy. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
Because
it's not smart.
No, it's not smart.
It's not. You have to know history so that you don't repeat it, so that you improve it. Period. And it's not all about you. It's not. There is an us. There is a massive us. And you need to know who else is in the circle with you. You ain't the only thing in the circle. So, but look, I will say about myself, the Holocaust kind of makes me, there's hardly a problem worse, what's worse, I'm not that sympathetic to small issues. I'm afraid. It's a personal in Yiddish a failing. It's a
failing.
Yes, it's a personal failing that I'm not so sympathetic, because I understand how large and painful certain issues are, and some are just not, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So moving deck chairs around on the Titanic is one thing, but I would look. I'm fading. I'll be off this planet at a certain point.
Won't we all though?
That's right.
Yeah.
I'll
You're
just
not so
be there,
special,
but I'll just
You're not
be
that
there
special, babe.
a little sooner. Which the thought of which I have to say, I hate. I hate
Mortality.
my own.
You
Other
love
people's
yourself?
too. No, I don't want. I
You like it
like
here?
life.
Yeah.
I like life a lot, even
Yeah.
if I'm depressed.
Mm.
Even if I'm sad and crying, there's always something to eat. I mean, for me.
Or music to listen to.
Or music to listen to, or trees to look at, or, other things that are all so pleasant. I love being
They're
alive.
meaningful. Sometimes they're not even pleasant. They're meaningful. There were moments in your book where I was like, oh, this hurts me so much. It was meaningful, and it's...
But it's funny. Isn't the book funny?
Well, you're funny.
The Holocaust can be funny.
Well, you're a funny lady. That's for sure. You make things funny and fun, even the Holocaust.
But not really. It's such a fine line between what people are going to be angry about.
Oh, fuck them.
Question of a secret time in my life when I thought, uh-oh, I better do something now. And I was alone at that particular time. I didn't have a partner, and went to get, I looked up who I would like.
Sperm donors?
Sperm donors.
Yeah.
6431.
Nice.
And I still have a couple of the vials.
Shut up!
No, you shut up. I kept them. So
You're just hoarding sperm?
no, they're dead. It's just a
You're
vial.
hoarding dead sperm?
Sperm vials, because I didn't want to forget, A603. I had hope for A603.
What does that even mean?
The guy who was A603.
Okay.
And it's written
Stanley.
on his little tube, A603. But I'm saying that because there was a time when I thought, come on, try to do this. And I did. And it didn't happen. And it was all for the best.
Why?
Because I don't have to say, you never even tried. You weren't sure. Ultimately, I was relieved and am relieved.
Yeah.
I mean, I will want someone to diaper me, but I don't think my kid will do it. And
It's my experience that kids don't do it, babe.
So, I mean, and there are young people who I love enormously and who will benefit when I croak.
And who love you.
And who maybe love me. Who do. No, I'm
Take
really.
this and clap
I
it
mean,
over the
I
head
have.
with it.
So it's been.
She has thousands and
I have
thousands of
people
fans.
but
Come
friends. I
on.
mean, like young friends who would be a child's age, really, almost a grandchild.
Yeah.
But they're my pals, and so it's all. It really. I mean, follow your dream.
Sure.
And
As long as it's your dream.
and yeah, but sometimes you don't know.
Tell me.
Sometimes you don't know. On a certain level with this book and trying to get this book out there, and hiring a publicist, right? My
So expensive.
It's so expensive, and but okay. So I don't have one anymore, which is okay, good. I
get to write
did the
beautiful
best. I did
emails.
my best. I invested everything in it. It will go as it goes. It will be like A602. Either it'll come to term, but it already has come to term. So, yeah, maybe we should talk about trauma.
We did that.
Good.
Do you feel like you have a responsibility to be the sort of voice of the voiceless?
Not consciously. I feel like unconsciously maybe I
Good, try an MDMA session and it'll get conscious. I'm joking. I'm so joking. But not.
I mean, with relation to my parents who had terrible lives and they were unseen. They had lives that were unnotable and unseen and unremarkable. I'm here to say they were and should be seen.
And they were remarkable.
And they were remarkable. And the point a little bit about 6 million people is it's just one person. I don't know how you talk about 6 million people. You talk about Moshe and Chaim and Yeda and,
What's her name? Fagin?
Frida.
Frida.
And, I mean, but, and Manuel and, Chaya. I mean, all of these people are singular.
And when you make art, do you feel inspired by...
I know so many dead people.
Yeah.
That my work, like every time I sing about anything, there's always somebody dead in the picture.
Can you sing something for us?
What do you mean?
I don't know. What's coming to you? Who wants out?
No, I don't know.
She's like a medium,
Yeah, I'm not really.
Oh, but you are. You're a sorceress.
Fire, 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 fire. Oises heiß, fire, 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 fire. Oises heiß, oise brennt a fire. That always reminds me of da 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 da.
Because Leonard Bernstein
Was
a
Jewish.
Jew. You
Leonard-
probably heard that song, no?
Fire, I mean, so that's what came to mind. But of all the songs, that's, why?
What was that song you sang for Ukraine recently?
Babi Yar?
Oh, that was beautiful. Was
Thank
that
you.
specific for...
No.
No, you had done it before.
Babi Yar is always relevant. And now that they've bombed it in Ukraine, it's even more relevant. So, yeah.
Well, it's beautiful. And if you want, you can find Eleanor on Instagram. What's your handle?
I don't know.
It's probably Eleanor
Reissa. www.eleanorreissa.com. It's all book.
It is?
It's like I never did anything else but
you've
write
done
a book.
so much else.
So go to
So
her
much.
website where they can buy the book wherever books are sold. And I do the narration on the audio book.
Which is beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And there's the ebook. So, and I'll come to your apartment and read to you, because I'm kind of unemployed right now. But it's you can go to Amazon, you can go to Barnes and Noble, you can go to eleanorreissa.com, and it tells you where you can get the book.
And what about your albums?
And
which you
my
were hawking all over Germany, as you say in your book.
Yeah, my albums you have to go online. It used to be on my website, but it's not anymore.
You're on Spotify.
Am I on? Yeah.
I'm teeing this up for no good reason. I should just be saying it myself because I'm an Eleanor Reissa Stan account here. You can find Eleanor's singing on Spotify. I'm sure you can
YouTube. There are YouTube
and on
things.
YouTube, absolutely. You're welcome in advance.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Oh, is it? Is it time to go?
Yeah. Do you have anything else to say?
I do want to thank you.
Oh, don't. Yes. Thank me.
I do want to
Great.
thank you, and I want to see what happens to you, Daniela Rabbani. I want to live a while and see what the next stage of Daniela Rabbani is. The next stage is.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.